All right, so today we got a few things to go over. This will be another very important stream. First, we'll start with the 7 coins we bought. Profits, losses, where are they at now? Why did we exit them? Because as you know, we did take, what is this, 2 days ago. We took a actually we pretty much sold everything. And then Zen and Eagle also were sold, I think, 4 hours after this post. So what happened to the 7 coins will be the first thing we go over today. Bitcoin finally after 20 days, a little over 2.5 weeks, we finally have had the drawdown. What now? What caused this? Was it the news? I posted about the news, so those of you who don't know about it, I'll talk briefly in the second bullet point. SPX, has anything changed in equity markets? Has anything changed with S&P 500? And then as always, changes in Tether dominance or Bitcoin dominance, and then questions at the end. So first thing we'll start with is 7 coins. So as you know, we've been trading these for about a week and a half now. These had some of the best setups in the market, with the only caveat, like we said last Friday, with the only caveat being we still want the drawdown in Bitcoin, which we ended up getting over the last 72 hours. So the caveat was we had these 7-ish. We left link out. That's why I call it 7. We had these 7 coins that had amazing setups, some of which gave us the full profits maker. Some of them that gave us nearly the full profits. OGN, Eagle, Zen, Tezos. A lot of these gave us profits. Some of the ones that didn't give us profits, Swipe. Which ones was it? Here's the post. Zcash being the least confident. We actually ended up selling half of this one at break even because on Monday we talked about being the least confident one. OGN sold this one for a profit. Swipe sold it for a minus 2% loss. Maker was the one that actually had the full profit potential, hit the daily 200, gave us plus 20% profits. XTZ sold for profits, and then Zen, Eagle were placed with stop losses on February 8th. And then I want to say the next day, about 12 hours later, we had then sold the rest of Eagle and the rest of Zen because lo and behold, we had one very important low break on Bitcoin, which we've been waiting for, and we will do a replay of this to show you guys which one it was. Here it is. This is February 8th, as you can see from the bottom of the screen right here. February 8th, the strong low we were talking about was finally broken, right? It was this low that was created on January 30th, which I list as strong because it had broken the previous relevant high, right? This was the February 1st was the highest high produced in the last 3 weeks. So the low that helped produce this high is what we want to see broken in order to have that max drawdown into the point of interest, which was that 4-hour 200 and that daily 200. And as you can see, it hits this, taps the strong low, and as soon as that happens, I go into the Discord and I tell you guys, Bitcoin's breaking down. And as you can see, I listed a picture of Bitcoin breaking that low. As soon as it taps that low, we now know that the drawdown is at a higher probability, and we have to get out of the alts now because the caveat for buying the alts was the idea that if Bitcoin does break down, we then have to sell the alts. And there you go. We just ended up selling the alts, and if we play this replay setting, as you can see, breaks the low, you get your slight draw up, and then you get your final drawdown. So let's pause this. That was the reasoning for selling the alts. Broke the low, sold the alts within this range. Boom. Prevented, massive loss that would have wiped out any gains that were produced from that run. And now we move into our second point where Bitcoin finally had its drawdown, right? Bitcoin had its drawdown. We sold the alts because of this drawdown. What now? Now this is probably the most important part because I've been trying to talk about this one forever, and I was hoping we would have got this last week during FOMC. Didn't get it last week during FOMC. Got it this weekend. We also did have a big event this week. I want to say Jay Powell talked today. I didn't listen to the speech, so I can't actually update you guys on what he said, but I can tell you that it probably wasn't that good considering SPX, Bitcoin, and all equity markets are down on the day, and also all rare metals are down on the day. Palladium down like 4.5%, 5% today. I digress. Continuing on to the idea with what we're going to do with Bitcoin now. We've had all the lows break that we've wanted. The strong low is broken, and then the mass stops on this liquidity draw here, right? Both of these lows. I'm going to target these lows. Very easy place where a lot of stop losses will be. And as you can see, the first time we traded through this was a massive cascade of sell orders. This might be, one of the largest 1 hour periods we had, almost a 3% drawdown of 1 hour just because of those lows. So we've had the lows break. We've had the strong low break. And now we're at the point of interest where now it gets interesting. This is where you got to buckle up, because this is where you place your orders or you pussy out and you wait a little bit too long and potentially lose the move. Now, there's a few things we do have to talk about before I get into what I'm planning on doing now, or what I've already planned on doing right now. A few of those things are going to be what has happened previously, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, so I'm going to refresh you guys. The daily 200, consistently, this is objectively one of the strongest signs of a bull bear market flip. Several times we've attempted this. For the first time on Christmas Day in 2021, we attempted this after breaking down from it, failed, and then we had our second attempt in March. About 3 months later, we tried the same thing. We did break above it and we did retest, but we didn't have enough to break the high from the first break. So breaking the high from the first breakout after the retest is your goal in order to have continuation. We didn't get that in March, and then into April, the drawdown continues. The reason I bring that up is because there's always potentially the exact same situation that we can have now. And this situation is slightly different than the previous two, only because we did have such a black swan event actually produce these lows. So these lows broke, but I don't want to say that they broke from a static perspective where it was just a normal trading day and it broke the lows. If that was the case, I probably would have, placed 5 to 10 risk on my long entries here. However, it wasn't. It was more of a black swan event. Unfortunately, it seems that's kind of how it always goes when we have massive lows broken, with the Kraken, Coinbase, and most US jurisdiction crypto exchanges getting probed by the SEC to stop staking. Go to Crypto Archive. I talk about it a little bit more. That's the event that actually pushed us from these lows. The news came out and immediately we dropped 3, 4, 5% into these point of interest. Maybe that's what we needed to get to these lows. Maybe we wouldn't have gotten there otherwise. I can tell you there's probably a lot of fear in the market right now, and I'm more than happy to start risking longs here, as I did, I want to say 8 hours ago or something last night. Yes, about almost 24 hours ago, I actually started the longs here, and I'll go back over why I'm actually starting the longs. We've talked about it a few times, but for those that forgot, there's a few major points here. One of the first ones actually being this point of major supply that actually came to fruition back in mid-January. We tested it for about 6-7 days, finally broke out of it. This is a sign that there were quite a bit of sell orders here for the entire week. Ate through the sell orders, the limit wall is now gone, and then we have the opportunity to break up. Broke this high, continuing from the strong highs getting broken, a bullish sign. We break up, and the first day that we did break out of this, let's take some of these lines off the screen, clean this up. The first day that we did break out of this, we had our largest day on Bitcoin in quite some time, almost a 10% day on January 19th. The reason that this day is important is only because it has produced something that we also want to keep in mind. It produced a daily fair value gap, right? The massive gap in the significance of no trading from the previous day and the day after in between the zone on January 19th is a zone we want to keep in our minds, because this is going to give us a lot of leftover orders that weren't filled. As you can see, this 4-hour candle was straight up a massive market order. Even the candle right before didn't even have a chance to fully close until it marked up. So in between this, we can easily tell that there's a lot of leftover buy orders that are here. And throughout this range, the 50% of this range is where you get most of your buy orders to come in. And that's where we're sitting at right now, in the daily fair value gap, on the daily 200 that we're flipping right now. And recently on the 4-hour 200, unfortunately, we waited, just over 18 days, which brought the 200 EMA on the 4-hour a little too high here. So now we are now trading under the 4-hour, but it doesn't matter too much because the daily 200 is the massive one that we want to focus on. So there's a lot of value in longs here. I am currently in longs right now. If you go check Crypto Archive, the longs are active right now. One caveat will be the idea that, and I've seen plenty of great traders point this one out as well, is we do have this massive zone for value buys here, as previous buy orders are still sitting and still getting filled right now. And we're sitting on the daily EMAs, which is great. However, there's a pretty large liquidity draw at the bottom of this range right here. And unfortunately, stops for this position would be quite near this, right? Stops for this position would be daily acceptance, right? Daily closures underneath this fair value gap, as well as underneath the 200 EMA. So if we can ghost feed this, we can show you a little example of what we'd be looking for not to happen. So it look like this. So this would be the bar pattern we'd be looking for not to happen, which would be a swift move through the daily fair value gap, meaning all of the leftover buy orders that were left behind, right? The leftover limit orders that were left behind from the market orders that pushed up prices, leaving the limit orders on the order books behind. This entire zone gets neglected, right? We slice through it. That means we also slice through the daily 200 EMA and we come to these lows and the daily closes down here. And that would be the stop out. That's where you get out of the long position here and you wait. And then the next idea, which would be the liquidity draw, right? These are very close together here. You only have a 2% till this low. I can almost guarantee that this is most likely what will happen if these lows break. We swift through these lows. Almost the entire market, all market participants will be entering shorts at this level. And then we get the markup phase. That would be max pain. That's where majority of market participants would lose. And this is normally what market makers want to happen. So in the event that you do find daily acceptance under the 200 and under the daily fair value gap here, you exit your positions, but you have one that comes up immediately after. Immediately after is these lows right at 20,400 getting taken and swiftly enter your longs here. So you have long stopped into re-entered longs here. And then this is where we come back and we have to change our daily bias. The current daily bias is still bullish momentum, right? Still bullish momentum, hence why I'm in longs right now. And the idea for these long positions are within the 50% range. So having said that, we do have that black swan event, which is unfortunate. I wish it was just another normal trading day where price calmly flowed into this daily fair value gap and we're able to enter these longs safely. Unfortunately, with the news and it being a probe of the SEC, they can come out any day and say, okay, we are now shutting down Kraken. We're now suspending Coinbase and looking into them further. Unfortunately, that's an FTX-like black swan event. Not saying it will happen, but just saying that it's unfortunate that in order for us to have broken these lows, we had to have something like that come out. So something to keep in mind. Okay, so that's the Bitcoin drawdown. That's the news. Did the news change anything? Yes. What did it change? Risk less. SPX, any changes? Not much. Not much has changed on SPX. It has been choppy the last few days, but it's also in a bullish retention zone right now. It is quite literally in this the SNR flip, right? We can highlight this by, this is where the supply started. Supply effectively was used again. Supply used again. Supply used again. 3 times since the first level. And then we had the breakout in the beginning of February in SPX, and now we are retesting it. Again, not something to fade, right? This is just the idea of the sell orders getting filled. Enough of the sell orders have been filled. There's enough demand in the market to push SPX back up. SPX is pushed up, flips the zone. Zone previously used for sell orders, now it's buy orders. And that was proven today. And SPX closes green today after significant drawdown in the morning. That's SPX changes. And now, last but not least, USDT dominance. Has anything changed on USDT? I want to say probably not. Probably not much. Not much has changed here. Not much to even look at. It is almost identical to what it was before. 21 days, sitting at the same level. We did break out of that range slightly, but we said this on, I want to say like January 15th or something. The idea for dominance to mark up is good for the Bitcoin long bias because we come back up to this level where previously, and I told you guys, the EMA strategy has no validity unless it actually respects it over the course of history. And as you can see on USDT dominance, we'll use thumbs up. As you can see, there's a lot of respect using the 200-day moving average. I can't make this up. This is September 2022. This happens consistently, right? Every time. So there's a significant respect with this level, and you cannot fade this over the course of 3, 4, 5 years. It respects this level consistently. And the idea is when we were having our bear markets, what was it produced by? It was produced from a bounce in these daily 200s, right? In August, going in August, September, every single year. September is not a good time for long bias. Go back 2022, 2021, and August, September. End of August, September is literally the worst time for long positions every year. I remember this distinctly in the Discord. It was the worst time for anyone to have a long position because it is drawdown time. Why? Well, there's a 2.5 month period between June, July, August where there is no major events, no FOMC, no new inflation data, nothing. So moving from June, July, August is usually the most bullish time in the market. As you can see, I mean, you can check out USD dominance. When this chart moves down, this means the entire crypto market is moving up. As you can see, June, July, August, September. Once you bounce here, that's when the slight bear market starts. Now what's happening? Well, easily, if you guys want to just flip the charts, what's the next thing to happen? If you get the respect on a bounce here from USDT dominance, it is literally just the opposite of what has been happening. And instead of it bouncing off this and it being bear for the market, fortunately for us, a bounce off this is more Tether being spent in the market, meaning Tether's market cap is going to decrease. If Tether's market cap is decreasing, that means the rest of the crypto market is getting bought up. So that's what we're looking for. Not much of a change. It's the same thing we've been talking about. The only time we'll say that there's a change is if this is breaking and the bias changes. Next up, Bitcoin dominance. I also want to say not much to say here. Not much to say either. Not much has changed, and I don't think that this chart is too relevant for us anymore. I think most of the relevance is gone, right? I said before, sitting at the 50% range doesn't matter that much anymore. It doesn't matter that much. Most of the dominance for Bitcoin is going to be spread thin here, and it's going to wait for the market to choose. And that's where we get the bias from Bitcoin, being that the long bias is now. If we have to flip bias on the daily 200 breaking, we will, but we have the caveat from these lows being the markup. So not much has changed. We finally got the lows to break. We're at the point of interest for Bitcoin. I think most market participants are extremely scared right now. You can go to Twitter and see. Mostly everyone is scared right now and calling for doomsday shorts. And this is where I want to be contrarian and flip, especially because we have so much confluence to go along here. Okay, that's just about anything. Any last questions? This is the picture for the 7 coins sold, and here's the one for the Bitcoin longs. The only question I see right now is, can you talk about how big of a shitcoin XRP is? Yeah, we can talk about that. XRP, every year, if you go back into Crypto Archive, you will see that there is almost once a year I will trade XRP. Other than that, there's not many times where you'll find me trading XRP. Pretty much, I want to say around the beginning of the year, I'll have one massive XRP trade. Last year, there was a massive XRP trade, maybe like 20, 30,000 on it. Same thing in 2021, same thing in 2020. We do like one big XRP trade a year, and we're near that point again where, well, we're at that point where I've already had a major position entered on XRP. Now, the idea is, let's talk about how big of a shitcoin it is. Well, number one, if we go back to mid-January, all the way up until today, right? We have maybe a 5% move to the upside, 5% move to the downside. Like, what can you do? You can't take profits in this. You can't sell into this. There's not much going on. It's a shitcoin because it will get these magnificent pumps, and within literally 4 hours later, the whole thing is gone. And this just happens consistently. So it's a very sad coin. I know some of you search trades a lot might be listening to this. It's unfortunate by how sad this coin is because it has one of the best setups in the entire market, and it just can't get it up. Someone needs to give it Viagra, but I can almost guarantee you the devs are having a absolute party selling every time this thing pumps. So the longer we wait with XRP, the more crowded the trade gets. We don't want the trade to get crowded with retail. We want the trade to get crowded after a breakout. We want the trade to get crowded after the daily 200 breaks and we had already had our positions. That's when the trade can get crowded because that's when the FOMO starts and you get the parabolic move to the upside. Anyways, on to the next question. Can you look at RNDR? So I will look at it. I don't want to look at too many alts because now it's like, now I'm on focus time for Bitcoin. We had forgot about Bitcoin for the last month, right? Almost a month, 21 days. 21 days we didn't touch a single Bitcoin position because it wasn't ready for it. The alts were ready for it. Now that Bitcoin's at point of interest, I want to focus on the main position. RNDR. Looks like everything's, so this reminds me of LRC as well. It feels like the market definitely feels like it's back in the like 2020 mode where 2017 and 2018 supply zones just gave absolutely beautiful entries. I mean, it took 2 seconds to find, but RNDR in early January 2022, I mean, there was a specific level at $2 flat, psychological $2 level where it bounced multiple times and significant bounces, 2x here, 67% move here, and then there's 60% move. So there's a lot of significance at this level. And as I always say, the significance of this level once flipped, right? Once invalidated, the bias of it will flip as well. And the bias of it will flip instead of it being buy orders before, it's now sell orders, and RNDR is down, 40% from that same level. So it doesn't take too long to figure that out. But going off what RNDR is doing now, I think that a 40% drop is more than enough. And if you had already taken profits on the position, I think this is specifically looking at this now. I think it's good for you to take your re-entry on your longs again, right? I mean, you have a 40% drawdown in, is this less than 24 hours? This is 48 hours. Minus 40% in 2 days. Yeah, you can re-long this easy. Maybe you could take 10, 15% out of this. It's near the 200 on the 4 hour, and it hasn't tapped the 200 on the 4 hour either for a long time. Fortunately, it's 20% away though. So that's the one thing I would do with these coins that are having these new parabolic moves is, 2 years ago, even a year ago, whatever the supply zone previously was, that was giving it, the buy pressure, it most likely is going to flip and give it quite a bit of a hard time now. And as you can see, RNDR does that. Someone said, what would your stops be if you entered XRP right now? So in the event that if I was to enter XRP right now, I'd say it'd have to be under this low, plus it would be under this supply zone. So the low would have to break and the supply zone would also have to break. In your TP, I mean, we've talked about the TP for this. It is, quite far away. It's a 33% move. I would personally take stops under 36, call it 36.45. That's this strong low breaking. Why is this a strong low? Well, this is the low that produced the buy pressure for these highs, which these highs broke. These highs, and these highs. So it's a strong level and it will be protected. Just confirms how they're going 20. Okay, going over to Bitcoins. So the problem when I say what the stop is daily acceptance is daily candle closure under a significant level, such as right now, it being this fair value gap that currently actually isn't getting much respect. I mean, there's not much buying pressure at all in this lower 50% zone. It's Friday. SPX is closed. I don't think ES is closed yet. I think their futures are still trading. Now futures are closed too. So everything's closed. So the majority of the buy pressure that would be here from the futures markets aren't. We're moving into the weekend. Less people are going to be trading. So this is why I say this is not the time to be risking 2, 3, 4, 5R yet. Still risk the same position size that you would have on a typical trade. It's not time to scale up as much as I said we should be scaling up into these. Unfortunately, there's too many things now going on that we didn't anticipate that are now in the equation. But your stop would be under 20,950, which would be acceptance under daily 200, acceptance under the daily fair value gap. And then as soon as that is a stop, you then have 2.5% till these lows break. As soon as these lows break, then we have to go, then that would be the one time where we actually do go to low time frame and we actually have to find a specific entry on those lows. And also I should definitely notice that as much as I don't talk about low time frame formation, there is actually nothing right now, like not a single bullish sentiment on anything low time frame. Nothing. It's completely bearish. And this can easily be seen from not a single high being taken in the last 24 hours. None. Every high produced was the high for that 4-hour period. Not a single one is broken. Every low is broken though. Broken low, broken low, broken low, potentially broken low again. So no bullish sentiment on any low time frames. You need some of these highs to break. Some of these highs need to break to start some bullish formation. You have none of it right now. It is completely bearish low time frame. The only confluence you have on the high time frames is the daily 200, daily fair value, S&R flip that is significant from early January, or no, this is from November. And you have flip structure and broken several strong highs as well. So low time frame confluence, nothing. Like literally no low time frame confluence for a long position whatsoever. But you do have the high time frame long confluence right now. And this is why I say don't risk more just yet. Risking more will come when the low time frame gives us confluence to start adding more margin than we would have. And that would obviously come in the form of us getting some type of buying pressure. We haven't really had much of it yet. The reason I say this is because none of these lows have held. So we have to find a low that holds. Potentially could be a 1-hour order block, 4-hour order block. And there's not many of them. It is completely green up to the 4-hour and the 1-hour. So don't go crazy just yet. Don't go risk the house yet. This is what we've been waiting for going on 22 days now. Give it time. Hopefully going to Sunday, we start to see market participants come back in and some type of markup phase to show us low time frame bullish sentiment. Anywho, I think that's all the questions. Someone said thoughts on BNB. We'll go over it real fast and see what's going on. It looks beautiful. Honestly, it looks really good. You have the long-term trend breakout. Finally, you have the daily 200 breakout and you have the retest. I don't know where the 4 hour is. It looks identical to Bitcoin. 4 hours finally not getting its respect. It's waiting time, right? It would be waiting time for a lot of these alts. I'd say focus on Bitcoin and maybe top gainers, because top gainers are moving like madmen right now. LRC is doing good, but we've already sold LRC. Our LRC position is gone in full. I think GRT is gone in full. Mostly all the alts that we did have before should be gone. HBAR looks great though. HBAR is good acceptance, and this kind of looks like Aave. Aave has acceptance under, so alts, as I said with Bitcoin dominance, no longer the main focus. Bitcoin and majors main focus, and I think ETH has a similar setup to Bitcoin, and ETH is actually breaking under the daily 200. So the literal only one, as I said before, I'd focus on at the moment would definitely be Bitcoin. I wouldn't even focus on ETH because I don't like the setup on ETH anymore. I would literally just focus on BTC. Less stress too. You don't have to focus on all these different coins. Last thing I'll leave you guys with, we all know the final target for Bitcoin, which is a near 20% move up to 25K. That's it. 25K hits, and all the sentiment we've had since mid-January is done, and we have to redo it all again, because that's the last thing we suspect is 25K hit. Then we have to refresh bias. Until then, we focus on the plan we have now. All right, boys. That's it. Someone said Eagles or Chiefs. Oh, God. I'll leave you guys with this. It's a pretty good chance that Patrick Mahomes does not do it. It's Jalen Hurts here. Max bet, Eagles, money line. Goodbye.